Pirkei Avot is certainly one of the best known and most loved parts of the Mishnah, and I think it holds a place of great esteem in all of our sacred literature. There are statements in Pirkei Avot that bear the same close attention we give to Tanakh, and this presentation is about one of those statements. Since you're watching this, I can almost assume that you're familiar with these sayings from chapter 1 of Avot. I know that I've been hearing about them from the time I was very young. Here we see the Hebrew and what I call the usual English translation. Take a moment to refresh your memory. In this presentation, I'm going to challenge this translation and explore the possibility of some radically different ways to understand what Hillel was telling us. I do think that the third question, Im lo achshav matai, that's pretty clear, and I think it's been understood. But questions 1 and 2 in this set, perhaps not so much. And it is a set, so how we understand 1 and 2 is going to impact how we understand 3. Let me begin by summarizing that usual understanding that's captured in the English translation on the first slide. And then we'll get into our challenge. We begin, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? So the obvious answer to that question is no one. So the statement translates to, if I'm not for myself, no one will be for me. And if we're going to do, say, a free paraphrase of that, it's something like, I should love and respect myself, and then, and only then, others will also love and respect me. I think that's a fair summary of the way we usually understand question 1. So then we come to question 2. If I'm for myself only, what am I? The obvious answer being not a very good person. And so the statement translates to, if I am for myself only, I'm a bad person. Again, paraphrasing, I should love and respect myself and love and respect others. It makes sense in a way. The first statement is telling us that we have to love ourselves, so it's followed up by a caution that, okay, you may have to love yourself, but not only yourself, you also have to love others. And that's, sounds right, sounds wise, and everybody's happy, right? What I'm suggesting here is that these words, as we just understood them in English, may indeed be true and wise words, but I'm not at all sure that they're a good reflection of what Hillel is saying in Hebrew. So I'm going to start by asking, how good is our usual English translation? And I think there are some very serious problems with it. And the key question, especially if we're focused on the first part, is the meaning of this simple word which occurs twice in the first part, the Hebrew word li. The meaning of li is the cornerstone of my challenge. Le basically means to. It can indicate a destination, like I'm going to the store, but more often it indicates the recipient of an action. In English, we call this the indirect object, We all learned how to recognize one. Insert the word to before it, and you have the same meaning. Give me the book. Me is the indirect object, because we can say, give the book to me. Hebrew is very similar, especially when it comes to the word li. It is almost always with an action verb indicating the recipient. Give me, tell me, do for me. Even when the verb is to be, it's usually explicit, as in this example, V'hayu li ha-leviim, the Levites are mine. So in English, with to be, it usually means mine. Now we have to look long and hard for examples of li with no action verb in Tanakh. In every case I could find, the verb to be is implied, and the best English translation would be mine. I can't find even one case where le or li means for in the sense of in favor of or in support of. Also, li is not reflexive. It means to me or mine, not to myself or for myself. So our usual translation of for myself, in that sense of in favor of myself, seems to be very unlikely. The plain meaning of li in this question is mine. So I'm going to suggest that we should translate im ein ani li, very simply and directly as, if I am not mine, who is mine? That might seem like not such a big difference, but I think it's a huge difference, and let me explain why. We're dealing here with the meaning of a question, and I want to suggest that this is actually a pretty complex and interesting subject, because the meaning of a question depends on the type of question it is. And there are many different types of questions, and it's really kind of a continuum. This reminds me of Rabbi Foreman's teaching that to understand the Torah, to understand any book, we have to understand what type of book it is. And in the same way, to understand any question, we need to understand what type of question it is. So, what type of question is this? As Shakespeare put it, that is the question. Now, we have been looking over here on the rhetorical side. I'm going to propose that we also need to look over here on this side. And I'm going to speak about both of these possibilities with our new translation. The question, who is mine, is really a very deep question. And we talk this way all the time. My brother, my spouse, my child, my friend, etc. It's possible that Hillel is encouraging us to question what we really mean by that. Now, like any rhetorical question, we have to understand the given. And the given here is, I am not mine. Im ein ani li. If I am not mine. Given that I'm not mine. Now, we think it's cautionary. You know, a lot of rhetorical questions are cautionary. If you don't brush your teeth, what will happen to them? That's cautionary. But it's not necessarily cautionary. Maybe the given is true. Maybe I am not mine. There is an element of caution here, but it's a caution for the given, not a caution against the given. I'm not mine. That's how it is. That's how it should be. And so no one else is mine either. What's the caution? Don't confuse love and ownership or possession. Don't think that you own anyone else. You don't even own yourself. And maybe possession is where everything goes wrong. You might even say that possession is the forbidden fruit, because that is where it all starts. Mine clearly means not yours. Mine, not yours. If we both want it, that's going to bring conflict, and that's leading to war, and that gives us hell on earth. And I'm certain that Hillel was aware of this, and that it's very possible that he wanted to caution us against it. I think we've come a long way in understanding the meaning potential of this simple question. But for me, the big discovery of this exploration was the possibility that we could understand even more, much more, if we look at this as a riddle. If we think about the characteristics of a riddle, I think we can see all of those characteristics in Imein Anili Mili. I've listed what I think are the three main characteristics of a riddle, and I want to go on and explain how Imein Anili Mili fits these characteristics. Alliteration and wordplay, we have that in abundance. Imein Anili Mili. There's only 6 words here. 5 of them are one-syllable words. And the last 4 words rhyme, and 2 of them are the same word. Moreover, ani and ain, which occur in the beginning, Imein ani, have you noticed that they're anagrams of each other? You just flip the last 2 letters and you convert one to the other. It also has a very rhythmic, sing-songy quality to it, like so many riddles. Imein Anili Mili. Boy, it sure sounds like a riddle, just on the basis of alliteration and wordplay. The example that comes to mind, what's black and white and red all over? Now, does it come across as a puzzle? Imein Anili Mili? Well, I think it really does. The problem is we thought we knew what it meant and that it was obvious, but really it's not obvious at all. There are 2 phrases in this very short question that are very odd phrases. Ani li. This is really strange. I mean, do we ever see those words together? Ani li, anywhere? And what does it mean? Am I mine? Gee, I guess so. I never really asked myself that. Imein Anili? Am I not mine? What does that mean? I mean, what are you driving at? And Mili? I mean, who is mine? Maybe that makes a little more sense. but I don't think we ever see that question, those two words put together, anywhere in the Tanakh. I wonder if we see them anywhere in the Talmud. So, im ein ani li mili, it just seems like a puzzle. It's a question within a question within a question. It's just nothing but questions, and it certainly doesn't seem like there's an obvious answer, which is what we should have in a rhetorical question. I also want to suggest that there are actually two puzzles here. It's because on the subject of possession, there are always two things we need to know. Who is the owner, and what, or in this case, who is owned? If we say, I am mine, you've actually covered both of these, right? But if we say, I am not mine, we're left with not one obvious question, who is mine, but another one, maybe even more immediately obvious, whose am I? I'd like to propose that a really satisfying answer to this riddle would include both of those questions. So, is there a solution that solves the puzzle and makes sense of this question that doesn't seem to make that much sense? I think there is. Remember those two examples I gave you about the very unusual use of li with the implicit verb to be? They're from Shir HaShirim, right? Dodi li va'ani lo, and ani l'dodi v'dodi li. Now, Hillel surely knew Shir HaShirim. And so, is it possible that those aren't just simply examples of this kind of usage, but that Hillel was alluding to Shir HaShirim? And if it is a riddle, why would he allude to Shir HaShirim? Perhaps because the answer to the riddle can be found in Shir HaShirim. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. Now it doesn't say ani li v'dodi li. That's obvious, because if I am my beloved's, I'm not mine. So, in fact, we could say, in Hebrew, im ani l'dodi, ein ani li. Now, just take the back end of that sentence, ein ani li, put it first, and make it into a question, and here we are, im ein ani li mili. In fact, both of these sentences from Shir HaShirim solve the riddle. Let's start with this one, Dodi li va'ani lo. It is a simple and precise answer to both of the questions. Who is mine? My beloved is mine. And whose am I? I am my beloved's. And look at the wordplay here. Ani lo means I am his, but it also sounds like ani lo, where lo is no, which points to im ein ani li. It's a perfect fit. But I think we still have to ask, what does it really mean? For that answer, let's use the other sentence, and let's look at both the question and the answer together. Im ein ani li mili, ani l'dodi v'dodi li. Now, I'm proposing that that second statement answers the question, mi li. So they're equal. So we can simplify this by just saying, im ein ani li, ani l'dodi v'dodi li. Now, if I translate that into English, I would say, if I give myself to God, God gives himself to me. And that, as a friend of mine said the other day, is news we can use. And if all this is implied in Hillel's little riddle, we have an idea that is very much at home in Kabbalah, in Hasidism, and in many other wisdom traditions. We might not have expected this from Hillel, but I think we're getting it. You know, most riddles give us the satisfaction of a good and clever puzzle. And that's wonderful. We love puzzles. We love solving puzzles. Hillel's riddle gives us that and much more. Not only do we get to solve a terrific puzzle, but in the solution we end up with a pointer to what is perhaps the great secret of life. And that's pretty good for 6 words and 7 syllables. Hillel is known for reducing a vast collection of wisdom into one unifying principle. But perhaps he really outdid himself with this one.